Welcome back, scholars. In this video, we're going to be discussing the works and the oratory of Red Jacket, a great orator. In fact, he identified as an orator. Someone asked him about his battle record, and he said, "I am an orator." And that was all he would say on it. Part of the reason for that is it's also well established that he was not a particularly brave warrior. In fact, he had a reputation for cowardice in battle, running away. But yet he was respected for the strength of his words, his rhetorical skill. I'm going to hand it to him. Based on what we've read here, they were correct. He had incredible rhetorical skill. He was a thinker. We read about three different texts here. One was a response to Missionary Cram. Missionary Cram, who came in with the very Western ideas of faith and religion, and a very, with Christianity. But he came in and sought to just kind of lambaste the Native Americans, the indigenous folks here, the Iroquois. It didn't go well, quite obviously, correct? Yes. He came in and said, "Look, you don't know how to worship the Great Spirit. I'm going to teach you how to worship the Great Spirit properly. I'm going to teach you about his son and about how his son died for us." Red Jacket said, "Well, we have no beef with the Great Spirit. You whites have killed the Great Spirit's son. We didn't. So how is this our fault?" He goes on to say a number of things here, too. He said, "Brother, the Great Spirit has made us all, but he has made a great difference between us, between his white and red children. He has given us different complexions and different customs. To you he has given the arts. To these he has not opened our eyes. We know these things to be true. Since he made so great a difference between us and the others, and other things, why may we not conclude that he has given us a different religion according to our understanding? The Great Spirit does right. He knows what is best for his children. We are satisfied. Brother, we do not wish to destroy your religion or take it from you. We only wish to enjoy our own." Hard to argue with that, isn't it? The idea of the faith here, and of course we read about the praying Indians in Marion Robinson's text. But the trouble here was in Missionary Cram's approach, wasn't it? And the thing is, Red Jacket was far more respectful to Cram than Cram was to Red Jacket. And he said, "Look, we appreciate it. We thank you for coming to tell us about this, but God is not. God doesn't treat us all the same. He doesn't look at us in the same manner here." And he says, he's given you your religion. He's given us ours. We don't want to destroy yours. We just want to practice our own. And the terrible thing here, it says in the footnote, after he had finished speaking, Red Jacket and a number of the other Senecas walked over to shake hands with and say goodbye to Missionary Cram. The missionary refused to shake, however. There being, he said, no fellowship between the religion of God and the devil. Further on, there is the second speech here Red Jacket delivered on May of 1811 to Mr. Richardson, the New York company, who wanted to buy Seneca lands. Red Jacket, of course, was against this idea. He says, "No, we can't give them. We can't sell our lands. We can't do this. These are our lands." Once we give, the American comedian and philosopher Will Rogers once said, "They ain't making no more land." That's been true for as long as there has been land, and Seneca recognizes this. He says, "Brother, you tell us your employees have purchased of the Council of Yorkers the right to buy our lands. We do not understand this. How this can be. The lands do not belong to the Yorkers; they are ours, and were given to us by the Great Spirit." Think about that for a minute. These agents have come in and says, "Look, the folks who own New York have given us permission to buy this land here, so this is our land now." He goes, "Yeah, we don't know about that. We don't know who these Yorkers are. We don't see how they could possibly have any power to buy our lands, because lands are given to us by God, by the Great Spirit. So no, you can't do that. Toward the end he says, brother, you white people buy and sell false rights to our lands. Your employers have, you say, paid a great price for their right, and they must have plenty of money to spend it buying false rights and lands to lands belonging to Indians. The loss of it will not hurt them, but our lands are of great value to us, and we wish you to go back with your talk to your employers, and to tell them that the Yorkers that they have no right to buy and sell false rights to our land. Brother, we hope you clearly understand the words we have spoken. This is all we have to say. Okay. Pretty hard to argue with this, right? He says, look, you guys have spent a lot of money here on a false claim here. Somebody sold you a bill of goods. I'm sure they have a nice bridge, like the Golden Gate Bridge, they'd say we throw in for free. But you don't have a right to the lands, and we hope you'll go back and tell your employers that, yeah, sorry, our lands are not for sale. They're our lands, and no, we're not gonna put up with that. And we hope you understand. Okay. Further on, let's see. Find the speech here. After he finished speaking, Red Jacket, a member of the other Senate. Oh, sorry, wrong footnote. The date and occasion of the following speech is not known. Red Jacket repeats his desire to keep the Senecas out of the American melting pot. He wanted them to retain their own lands and their way of life and religion, although many Senecas had converted to Christianity, including Red Jacket's wife. The chief remained adamant about adhering to the religion of his forefathers. The split between the Christian and the traditional Senecas became extremely bitter, until finally the Christian Senecas succeeded temporarily in deposing Red Jacket as chief. He was able to win reinstatement shortly before his death. But listen to what he says here. The offer again is of education. And judging from the works of Benjamin Franklin, we know how that turned out. And this sort of echoes that sentiment. We have well weighed your exertions in finding your success to not to answer our expectations, but instead of producing that happy effect which you long promised us, and the introduction so far has rendered us uncomfortable and miserable. You have taken a number of our young men to your schools. You have educated them and taught them your religion. They have returned to their kindred in color, neither white nor Indians. The arts they have learned are incompatible with the chase and ill-adapted to our customs. They have been taught that which is useless to us. You have been made to feel. They've been made to feel artificial wants, which never entered the minds of their brothers, and imbibed in your great towns the seeds of vices which were unknown in the forest. They have become discouraged and dissipated, despised by the Indians, neglected by the whites, and without value to either, less honest than the former, and perhaps more knavish than the latter. And further down, brother, in attempting to pattern your example, the Great Spirit is angry. For you see, he does not bless or crown your exertions. But, brother, on the other hand, we know that the Great Spirit is pleased that we follow the traditions and customs of our forefathers. For in doing so, we receive his blessing, receive strength and vigor for the chase. The Great Spirit has provided abundance. When we are hungry, we find the forest filled with game. When thirsty, we slake our thirst in the pure streams and springs around us. When weary the leaves of the trees of our bed, we retire with contentment to rest. We rise with gratitude to the great preserver, renovated strength in our limbs, and abounding joy in our hearts. We feel blessed and happy. No luxuries, no vices, no disputes, titles, no avaricious desires shake the foundations of our society and disturb our peace and happiness. We know that the Spirit is better pleased with this than with his red children than with the white, and when he bestows upon us hundredfold more blessings than upon you. Living the way we do, we are much happier. We have fewer needs. We have fewer foolish desires. We don't seek anything that is frivolous or unneeded. We are given abundance by the land. The Great Spirit, our God, has looked down upon us and given us all that we need. We're happier living the way we are. Please, we do not want to embrace your lifestyle because it is destruction to us. Later again, he says, perhaps, brother, you are right in your religion. It may be peculiarly adapted to your condition. You say that you destroyed the Son of the Great Spirit. Perhaps this is the merited cause of all your troubles and misfortunes. But, brothers, bear in mind, we had no participation in this murder. We disclaim it. We love the Great Spirit, and as we never had agency in so unjust and so merciless an outrage, he therefore continues to smile upon us and will give us peace, joy, and plenty. Brother, we pity you. We wish to bear to our good friends the best wishes, inform them that in compassion toward them we are willing to send them missionaries to teach them our religion, habits, and customs. We would be willing, should they be as happy as we are, to assure them that if they should follow our example, they would be more and more happy than they are now. Here's where it gets really fantastic, really drives the point home. We cannot embrace your religion. It renders us divided and unhappy, but by your embracing ours, we believe that you would be more happy and more acceptable to the Great Spirit. Here, pointing his finger at several whites present who had been captured when children and brought up among them. Here, brother, with the animation and exciting triumph which cannot be described. Here is the living evidence before you. These young men have been brought up with us, and they're contented and happy. Nothing would be an inducement with them to abandon their enjoyments to adopt yours, for they are too well aware of the blessings of our society and the evils of yours. But as you have the goodwill, we will gladly know that you have relinquished your religion, productive of so much disagreement and inquietude among yourselves, and instead thereof that you should follow ours. I would imagine that it's probably a rare thing that when a missionary gets a counter offer for his teaching and for his faith, and yet here it is what Red Jacket offers him. Red Jacket, by the way, called so because he wore a British military jacket. He says, we will be spectators and remain silent. Improve their morals, refine their habits, make them less disposed to cheat Indians, make the whites generally less inclined to make Indians drunk and take from them their lands. Let us know the tree by the blossom and the blossom by the fruit. When this shall be made clear to our minds, we may be more willing to listen to you. But until then, we must be allowed to follow the religion of our ancestors. Brother, farewell. What he's saying here is what would the parallel in the New Testament would be: remove the beam from your own eye before you try to remove the speck from ours. When you begin to truly practice your religion, become the kind of virtuous people that you say you are, that you bear the fruits of the Spirit, as it were. Stop cheating Indians. We will be spectators. We will watch. We will try to see what you are like, and when you begin to live in the way that is virtuous and true to the way we understand it, then we can talk. But for now, so long. All right. The final speech, the Governor Ogden of New York in 1822, president of the Ogden Land Company, which had been pressuring the Seneca to sell their lands, their holdings for years. Despite Red Jacket's pleadings, the Senecas decided to sell their lands. And by 1840, they'd signed away all their beautiful homeland in New York. Some remained in reservations on New York, others moved to lands provided in Oklahoma, the reservations. And so let's hear what he has to say. We first knew you a feeble plant which wanted a little earth where it ought to grow. We gave it to you. And afterward, when we could have trod you under our feet, we watered and protected you. And now you have grown to be a mighty tree whose top reaches the clouds and whose branches overspread the whole land, whilst who were then the tall pine of the forest, have become the feeble plant and need our protection. Need your protection, rather. He says, when we started off here, you were weak, you were unhealthy, you could barely make it. You were like a small plant that could have easily been trodden underfoot, but we didn't do that. We watched over you, we looked after you, we protected you. And now things have changed. You've grown into a tall tree, you overshadow us, and now it is we who need your protection. We need you to deal fairly with us. Not so long ago, you raised the war club against him who who was once our great father over the waters. You asked us to go with you to war. It was not our quarrel. We didn't. We knew not what. We knew that you were right. We knew not that you were right. Sorry. We asked not, and we cared not. It was enough for us that you were our brothers. We went with you to battle. We fought and bled for you, and now, with a great feeling, pointed to some Indians who had been wounded in the contest. Dare you pretend to us that our father president, while he sees our blood running from fresh wounds, received while fighting his battles, has sent you with a message to persuade us to relinquish the poor remains of our once boundless possessions, or sell our birthplace, the birthplace of our children, the graves of our fathers? No! Sooner than believe he gave you this message, we will believe that you have stolen your commission and are a cheat and a liar. Look, we went to war with you. We didn't care if you were wrong or right in your battle against the king. We just saw you as brothers. And we got into a fight that wasn't our fight. We were wounded and we bled for you. And now you're telling us that the great father in Washington, the president, has sent us this message here. Telling us to give up our lands. No, we're not going to do that. We will not. It's more likely the case that you are deceiving us here. He says, you tell us of your claim to our land and that you have purchased it from your state. We know nothing of your claim, and we care nothing for it. Even whites have a law by which they cannot sell what they do not own. And how, then, is your state, which never owned land, sold it to you? We have a title to it, and we know our title is good, for it came direct from the Great Spirit who gave it to us, his red children. When you ascend to where he is, pointing to the skies above, you will get his deed, and he will show it to you, and never till then will we acknowledge your title. You say that you came not to cheat us out of our lands, but to buy them. Who told you that we'd have lands to sell? You never heard it from us. Did I not tell you the last time we met that whilst Red Jacket lived, you would get no more lands from the Indians? How then, while you see him alive and strong, striking his hand violent on his breast, do you think that you make him a liar? He engages in an incredible logic here. If we were to break this down in terms of rhetorical strategies, we would say logos. Logically, he said, look, even you have a law that says you can't sell something you don't own. Okay? You don't own this land, and so you can't sell it. Your state never acquired it, doesn't have land. So how can you possibly say that the state has told you you can buy our land or sell our land? Look, we have a claim, we have a deed. It is given to us by God, the Great Spirit. And when you go up, when you get to heaven, you ascend to him, he will show you this deed. He said, I told you last time you were here, you will not have any more Indian lands. How can you make me a liar like this? Incredible powers of oration. He was right. He was, his people ceded the land, sold off the land for much less than probably what it was worth. And given the real estate market today, it is very expensive land. It still is. They built a society, our society. So, fascinating story too. We oftentimes in fiction and in other popular culture, we look at the Indians as savages. We discuss them as, we decry them as these unsophisticated people, but they certainly were not. they were just as sophisticated in both their oration and their laws and their culture as we were. It was just a matter of technology. So, truly fantastic oratory, and it's important that we read these because it tells us, gives us a better view of who the Native Americans, the indigenous peoples are and were. All right, so those are the speeches of Red Jacket. Thank you for your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next video.